Hi everybody, I'm Silvia and I'm here with Ida! As you may or may not know, we've been living in Korea for a while and we've been living in a lot of different places. So today we're gonna tell you a bit about that.
As you might know if you've been watching our videos, when we first came to Korea, we were students. So our first house was actually a dorm at our school. So we were sharing this one room which had a bunk bed, and I will insert some pictures somewhere where it fits of what it looked like. We had our bunk beds, we had 2 closets, and then we had our desks for studying, because that's what you do.
Or for storage.
Yeah, that's what we used them for. The rent was 800,000 won a month, which is pretty expensive since we were 2 people sharing this room. It's a very tiny room, and we had to pay this in cash every 3rd month. At the time we didn't have a Korean bank account, so we would have to withdraw all the money from our Swedish accounts, where there's a limit of 700,000 per day. We would have to plan our money withdrawals for a few days before we actually have to pay the rent. Since this was a dorm, of course, there were some fun rules imposed by the school. You would have to be home before 12 or midnight, that is. The door would be locked between midnight and 6 in the morning. So if you wanted to get in anytime during this locked period, you would get demerits, and after a certain amount you would get thrown out. We would have one of those key cards to just blip, and then if it was the right time of the day, the doors would just slide open. But if you, for some reason, I don't know why, you would come home after midnight during the weekends, but if you did, all you needed was a friend or 2 who also stayed at the same dorm and would just be staying at home. So you would just tell them, oh, you know, I'll get home at around 2 in the morning. If you could just come down and open for me, that would be great. Next on the list of somewhat crazy rules was that they would come and check your room and how clean it was every 3rd month, if I remember correctly. There would be like this official from the school that would go around checking all of the rooms in the building, and it was a 5-story building with 10 rooms in each floor and 2 people in each room. So that's a lot of students. That's 100 students from the school who would at the same time just freak out and just last minute clean everything. They would give you like an approximate time when they would come to your dorm, and trust me, like the hours leading up to that, you would just hear everyone running around between the rooms and being like, do you have soap? Like, we have to clean!
And then when they're about to come, you just like sit there by your desk, so like, oh hi, welcome. I was just studying. When we started studying, Joseph was living in the same dorm as us, and he was rooming with some guy from another country. At the first cleaning check thing, because they lived on the floor below us, so they would check their rooms first, he texted us, oh my god, they're crazy! They told us to clean and then come back later, and if it's not clean, they'll like give us demerits. And we're like, ah, you know, extreme freak out, and we like clean everything again. They would check the drains, you know, look for dust, make sure you like wipe the floors and whatnot, like made the beds. They had like a checklist. Afterwards, when we asked them, we were like, oh, but she was so nice. Like, I mean, she was scary, but she was nice. And then we asked him, dude, like, what did you do? Like, how nasty was your apartment for you to not pass? And he was like, oh, we didn't clean. I'm like, so the next rule, which kind of makes sense, I guess, in a conservative country, is that you were not allowed to have anyone of the opposite sex on your room. I mean, like, if your family would come visit, you would have to tell them, my dad is gonna come and I want to show him my room. That's like, that's how serious they were. There were 2 guys living in the room next to ours. Let's just say they had girls over on multiple occasions, and I don't think they ever got caught, so they weren't really enforcing those rules. But I'm guessing if you were trying to sneak someone in, they would be like, wait, who that? And then of course there was the no smoking policy, which again, people didn't really seem to care about, because the way
that the dorm layout was. There were no windows in the bathrooms. People seemed to think that was a good place for smoking, and they would just be smoking up into the ventilations, which was connecting all of the bathrooms. I don't think anyone was ever caught for that, because there was like no way to tell where the smoke originated, because it was just in all of our bathrooms, and it was really bad, and you would have to like air it out through the apartment. And then we have the garbage disposal. Depending on your home country, it might be similar or it might be very different, but in Korea they do practice recycling, not to the extent that we do in Sweden. So for us it was actually hard to get accustomed to the Korean way of recycling. At least at this dorm, it was just divided into food trash and not food trash. But we were kind of scared about this because there were no clear instructions what was food trash and what was not food trash. We know for a fact that like eggshells or chicken bones or banana peels were not considered food trash, which to us doesn't make sense, but again, that's how it was. We were told that food trash was basically whatever a cow could eat, but then I'm like, so what about chicken? Like chicken meat? Cow don't eat meat.
Cow don't eat meat.
You also have to separate the trash into designated trash bags, which you have to buy at the front desk. It's a yellow bag for food trash and a white bag for not food trash. And if you do not throw away your garbage in these bags, or if you suck at sorting your garbage, demerits. And lastly, this dorm didn't come with a washing machine, so you would have to use the 2 washing machines available in the common area in the basement. So there were 2 washing machines and 2 dryers that all 100 students would have to share. There was no like schedule for wash times, so you would just have to bring all of your stuff downstairs. We were in the 5th floor. Just walk all the way down to the basement and just hope no one was using the washing machine. Also, it wasn't free. You had to pay with coins if you wanted to use either machine. It was 500 won if I'm not mistaken.
1,000 each time.
It was 1,000 since I was mistaken.
After about 9 months of living in this dorm, we decided that we don't want to live here anymore. So through a friend we found another apartment. However, that apartment wasn't done yet. The plan was move out to a hotel, leave our things there, and then renovate the apartment and move in.
And this would happen during one of the breaks. We had a month off, so we'd use that month to move.
Things didn't quite go as planned when this one decided to get very sick and get admitted to the hospital.
Yeah, 10 days.
So what happened was, I had to move out by myself with a little help from my friends. I ended up moving to a hotel like we planned, but I ended up staying there for a lot longer than planned. That was kind of interesting because I ended up staying in 3 different rooms in the same hotel. And the hotel staff probably thought I was a vampire because of my schedule. I would get up at like 4 p.m, go visit her in the hospital, leave the hospital, and then go hang out with my friends and get home in the middle of the night and then wake up at like 4 p.m. the next day. The first room I lived in was on the 1st floor. Really convenient for me because I had like a billion suitcases with all of our lives in them. Then, since I decided to prolong my stay at this hotel, they had to move me to another room on the roof. So up we go with all of our suitcases to the roof. That was an adventure in itself. But then when I got into the room, I noticed the ceiling was extremely low. I am very short. I am 159 centimeters, roughly like 5'2", I think. And I could literally touch the ceiling right here.
I mean, when I walked in there, it was like grazing the top of my head. Like, that's how short it was. What? This house is short.
Such a short house.
That's how low the ceiling was.
After a while, she came back and stayed with me before we went to the new apartment. And we're gonna tell you about that in our next video. So remember to click the subscribe button to not miss out.
So if you were to, or if you did, or if you are currently studying in Korea, would you want to live in a dorm? Or did we just like scare you too much and you will never live in a dorm in your entire my life. Leave it down in the comments if you have some fun stories or just share what you would have done. So next week we will talk about the renovating apartment project, and of course the house that you've been seeing in all of our videos from Korea up until we're not in Korea, because now we're in Sweden. Bye! After Carson left, Silvia and I headed down to Hongdae to go to Etude House and just look around in some stores.